Hi, everybody. This is Hui Tran here for our latest episode of VAR on Air. Very excited for tonight's program because we will be having a great conversation with some of the cast members from Vietgone, a local show that's featuring here in downtown San Jose. And we'll get into that in a little bit to hopefully encourage everybody to come out, to watch this show featuring some great performers and telling a love story intertwined in with a refugee story, and of course to support local artists, local theater, and to make sure that we are enjoying ourselves as things become more COVID safe. Before we get into our program, I just want to make sure that remind everybody, VAR on Air is a bi-weekly virtual program where we cover information about programs and services from government agencies, local organizations, and significant issues our communities face. VAR on Air is a program hosted by the Vietnamese American Roundtable. We are a 501c3 nonprofit working to inform, mobilize, and advocate for our community of the critical and pertinent issues that impact our lives. This program streams live to VAR's Facebook page and will be broadcast to 14:30 a.m. KVVN radio station every other Sunday. Now, you saw me reading that off the screen. It's because unfortunately, I don't have that intro memorized. I'm actually really excited for tonight's discussion because this is the first time VAR on Air has actually focused on theater. A lot of our program, when it was created, was really focused on important COVID-19 resources that needed to be shared with our community. We focused a lot on some of the changing public health rules. But as things can become better and we're able to utilize this platform for other causes and for other things that are occurring for our community, we want to take this opportunity to highlight the folks who are active in our community doing things such as theater and bringing us back to that sense of normalcy, but also making sure that we do so in a safe and aware and conscious kind of way. So I'm excited tonight because we get to talk to three of the cast members from Vietgone and featuring two of the leads who played the lead roles, but also one of the cast members who took on multiple roles during this performance and helped provide a lot of the humor and the fun storylines and the jokes to make the show that much more enjoyable. So let me first introduce here all of you all, and then of course we would love to hear from you two a bit about yourselves. So we have Jomar Tagatac, who played Quang. We also have Amanda Ling Wing, who played Hong, one of the female lead in the show, and we have Tasi Alabastro, who played two active roles, brother to Amanda's main character, but also like the homie, the best friend, the guy who always had Quang's back, and they actually had a lot of good fun adventures together in the show as well. So why don't we start off with Jomar? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into theater.
Sure. So a little bit about myself. My name is Jomar, by the way, I started doing theater. I think I took my first theater class when I was in the 7th grade, 8th grade. There are a lot of stories like mine where, I was the quiet kid in school, and then this drama class sort of came out, and I was like, well, I kind of like theater. I kind of like drama, and I auditioned for that class. And I've been doing theater ever since. I went to school for theater. I went to San Diego State to get my BA in theater arts. And then I got my MFA over at American Conservatory Theater. And, I spent a little bit of time in New York, but I'm mostly a Bay Area local artist. And I love that. I love to say local. I love to say Bay. And theater is just such a big part of my life. And I'm grateful that it is such. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. You got that kind of Bay love.
Yeah.
And let's keep it rolling here. Amanda, how about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into theater.
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Amanda Le Wing, and I play Tong in the show. Right now, my laundry is making a bunch of noise. I'm sorry about that. I decided to do laundry today. It's Wednesday wash day. Why? Who knows? So that's going on. Sorry about that. But so theater. Whoa. Okay. I started back in high school, my freshman year. Funny story. I was supposed to sign up for French, but it was full. So I was like, cool. I gotta fill my 5th period with something. And so I was about to sign up for woodshop. But then the lady left and she came back and I was like, is there anything else but woodshop or auto? And she was like, there's theater arts. And I was like, sure, why not? And so I signed up for that. I also grew up very shy. I was the invisible girl most of my life, believe it or not. And so theater became, especially on stage, it became something for me to express myself freely. And the moment I went underneath those beautiful spotlights and I did my first monologue from Electra, it was the most freeing moment of my life. Like it was so good. And like at that moment, I knew I belonged there. I was like, I can't leave. I don't want to. And so ever since then, I've been doing every musical, every play, every show. I took all the workshops since then. I couldn't afford like going to big top schools. I went to SF State. I studied drama. I got my BA in drama, emphasis in performance. And then I decided to do children's theater. I teach on the side. And then it became most of my life. I took many gigs teaching summer camps. I love children, teaching them what I know, what I got from experience from everything else. And so dabbling in all the different things. And so it led me to here all these years of performing and just having fun and being on stage and sharing my love for being underneath the spotlight wherever I can find it. And so, yeah, theater is just also my life as well, 24/7.
Oh, definitely want to find out and talk a little bit more about that too when after we get Tasi to introduce himself. Tasi, how about you? Tell me a bit
What's
about
up,
yourself.
everybody? My name is Tasi, and I am originally from American Samoa. And unlike Amanda and Jomar, I did not find theater until later in my 20s. And although I kind of skirted around the idea of performance, but before that, I was doing a lot of graphic design, visual arts, and so I knew there was some kind of pull and draw towards the arts in some capacity. And it really wasn't until I also went to SF State, like Amanda. It wasn't until a really bad breakup that I decided to just like haul ass and go to Hawaii for a few years because I have a brother that lives there, and it was there I took an acting class and at a Leeward Community College. And that day one, just kind of smelling the way the black box theater smells, I was hooked. And that was like a very huge sort of like sensory thing for me, and immediately felt a sense of community that um, both I was very curious about, but also felt comfortable being around and just being myself. And that every decision after that came from that moment of enjoying that experience. And so that somehow I'm here in San Jose now, and part of the MALI, which is the Multicultural Arts Leadership Institute based here in San Jose. And so in any way that I can, I like to showcase the arts and the artists who help make up the community. And whether that's on stage or whether that's working with like Red Ladder Theater Company, which is also South Bay located, we do a lot of work with marginalized communities. So inmates, incarcerated youth, incarcerated men and women, but also, the elderly folks in Japantown. But when I'm not doing that, I'm hanging out with Jomar and Amanda on stage until April 24th. So
Oh, okay. Multi-talented, you all, and invested in your communities in so many different ways. Let's actually talk a little bit about Vietgone. I would love to share a little bit about with our audience about what the show is about. So, Jomar, what can we share about the show without giving up the whole thing?
Oh my gosh, I feel a little bit of pressure.
They're gonna get you if you tell too much, Jomar.
All of a sudden, I got nervous. All right, so I'm gonna try to do a synopsis of it. I mean, there are a lot of storylines in the show, but the main storyline, it's like you said, it's a love story. It centers around two people who who are trying to discover what home means. That's good, right? That's kind of good. Yeah. Try to discover what home means. And, and it's told through kind of really interesting storytelling. It's told through rap. It's told through dance. It's told through some action sequences that I do not want to talk too much about because it's one of those surprises in the story. But, there's a road trip involved, and all of this is within the context of the fall of Saigon, the Vietnam War. And, one of the biggest lines in the show is, this is not a story about war, it's a story about love. How was that? Was that all right?
No, that's solid. I mean, the thing is, like, when I told folks about watching Vietgone, and let me just share with you all, I've actually seen it twice, right? I saw it when it was showing in San Francisco,
right.
And then when I saw that it was coming to San Jose, I was like, it was a great story. I loved it. So I wanted to go, Joanne and I, my fiance, wanted to go and check it out again. We brought along our friends, Linda and Steven. And honestly, part of the big motivation was seeing Amanda in the show. So, let's go talk about each of you, okay? And I just want to share a little bit. I met Amanda years ago when she was actually in a pageant. And Amanda is, the only Vietnamese person I know who's actually pursued theater, professionally. And I'm so proud of you for doing this, because it's not something where we see a lot of Vietnamese faces. Now, you have been, you've been a part of a lot of shows. I believe this is your first Vietnamese-centric performance, right? Where the character you're playing is Vietnamese, right?
Actually, not true. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it. And I was like, wait a minute. I did Miss Saigon years ago, actually. Yeah, I was part of the ensemble. I did it at Palo Alto Players. And it was actually my first community theater show right out of college. And it was such a great experience because, well, of course, I've heard about Miss Saigon like crazy, like, duh, who doesn't want to be in Miss Saigon if you're like an Asian woman, And it was a great experience. The cast was great. The creative team was great. I love the experience. I love the music. But this show, though, is, I think, the first show where, like, it was written by a Vietnamese person. And so I think that's what makes it special for me. And Tong is such a different character than Kim from Miss Saigon, and both are very strong, beautiful, strong females. But Tong is such a bad person. I mean, she's cool.
A cool person, super awesome. That's right. Yep, super awesome.
Oh my God, she's super cool. And so to be Vietnamese and to be in this show and to read the script and see the different words that are in Vietnamese that you recognize from your childhood is just crazy for me. When I read it last year during the pandemic, again, I was like circling the different words, and I actually went up to my mom. I was like, Mom, how do you say this? How do you say this correctly? And it was so cool. I got that resource from my mom, and I also recognized some of them because I actually visited those places too when I went to Vietnam years and years ago. And to have yourself represented from your childhood all the way up to now, it's kind of crazy. It may not seem as crazy like to some people, but to me, just seeing myself in a story like that, because you don't get that every day. I remember even growing up watching Hey Arnold, that Christmas episode where it's like Mr. Nguyen. I didn't know he was Vietnamese, and he spoke Vietnamese in that episode to his daughter Mai, and I was like, what? You can't really hear it because it's in the background, but like when I heard it, my heart clicked. It was like Doug from what's it called, from Up. He's like, what squirrel? Shoot, that's my language. That's something I grew up with, and so something like that really makes me like motivated to want to keep doing this, in a way where like I can do that too. I can make it because I'm Vietnamese, he's Vietnamese, they're Vietnamese, I can do it. And so I think that's why I do as much theater as I can, because I want my face and myself to be on stage as much as possible for people to see, even children's theater, like, hey, you can be any color, any race, anything you want, even if you're Vietnamese, you don't see yourself a lot, but you know what? Hey, look at me. I'm doing it. You can do it too if you want to. And doing these classes and workshops I do online, I remember this one woman who was a teacher, she emailed me back and she said, you know what? It's so nice to see you teach the children with such enthusiasm and energy and love and passion for what you love to do, because you don't see that a lot in Asian women or Asians in general when they're teaching. And so I'm just like, wow, that was a really nice thing to say. But also like that like pulled my heartstring a little bit, where like, yeah, I just want to show everyone, all the little Asian kids, like, hey, you can do whatever you want. You know, if you love it, do it. You know, just all it takes is just the first step forward and to keep going. That's what I did. And trust me, it took a lot of heavy heaving to get there. But
No,
I
that's
love
awesome.
yeah.
No, it's awesome. And honestly, like, and actually, you kind of mentioned that you've done Miss Saigon, but you also, this is the character that you're playing now, Tong. And at least when you mentioned before we went live that you really clicked with this character, and it was harder for you, more challenging, because you felt like this was more you, right? Can you share a little bit about your perspective on that? Like, you felt how your connection to this character impacted your performance here?
Yeah. So Tong is such a great person. And I love reading about her in the script. And then when I first read about her, when I first heard about her from my friend who watched it in OSF, an Oregon Shakespeare Festival, where it first premiered, she was like, girl, this is you. And I'm like, okay, I don't know about that. So I read it and I was like, yeah, she's someone that I would like hella want to hang out with, you know? And then having to portray her on stage I thought would be a little bit easier than most of the parts I've played, but it's not, because I relate to her so much, where like I was scared to play her. I was terrified every day, because I was like, what if I play her wrong? What if people don't accept the way that I'm playing her, because I don't know, like she's just oh God, it's so hard to explain. She's so much like me, or like I'm so much like her, where like if I play myself on stage, you may think it's easier, but to me it's like I'm constantly doing this in front of people that I don't know. And what if they don't receive it well? What if I get the bad reactions? What if they don't like it? That means they don't like me, you know, and that's hard to take for me anyway. And so the reactions from the audience members are really important for me.
Well, you did great. Let me just say that. And then actually too, even knowing you through the context that I do, I actually definitely saw how you were showing yourself on that. Let me actually hand this over. Let me switch over to Jomar actually. So one of the things I learned, was that you are the longest performing cast member. Sorry, for this particular show, you've done Vietgone longer than anyone else who's currently performing there. So I want to ask you, what drew you to stay involved and be a part of the show for as long as you have, and to play all of the different roles that you have for Vietgone?
Yeah, I think, with my, theater journey so far, Vietgone continues to be one of the more special pieces that I've been in. I did the playwright track when it was in San Francisco, and then going into this Quang role, it's interesting to play have experienced those two roles, because, well, I don't want to give too much away, but it's interesting to play different roles in the same piece. The thing that, the way I'm sort of kind of hearing your question is sort of like, what keeps me excited, what gives me energy by doing this play, continued energy. And I think what it is one, how important the story is, telling this story. I'm constantly sort of like interested in the different ways with new playwrights, especially new playwrights like Qui. They're doing something really interesting about storytelling, and twisting the story up, where it's not just linear. It has a forward motion to it, but you get different pieces of information from the past, in Act 2, and then we pull forward into present time, and then we go back, and it's really interesting how audiences can follow the story. But number two would be just sort of how impactful I see the story through the audience perspective. After the show, audience members, patrons will hang out after to say hi, and they'll talk to us. And, you know, they will say stuff like, great job. It was so funny. It was, you know, moving, all that good stuff. But that's the smaller part of the conversation. The bigger part of the conversation is when they say, this is my story. This happened to me. This happened to my family member. And they're sharing their own real life story about what happened to them back in that time. And that's the point of the theater, right? Is to be sharing stories, to make connections. And I think patrons and audience members are connecting to this story and are saying, I connect so much to this story. I want to share my story with you, you know? And they're not sharing their story with us on a stage. They're sharing it to us interpersonally, right? And that makes it all the more special. I'm a stranger to these to the audience members, and they trust me enough to say, hey, let me tell you what happened when I left Saigon, you know? And I find that very touching, and that's what gives me energy. Just knowing that that I can help share this story to lots and lots and lots of people. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, one of I have a follow up, but I also want to make sure that we get to Tasi here. Like, you know, just how playing different characters kind of impacts your current performance. But let's get back into that in a bit here. If we got some time at the end.
Yeah.
But Tasi, let me talk to you. So Vietgone is interesting in that a lot of the cast members take on multiple roles. Like you have to play multiple characters, right? And I'm gonna see just a little bit of note here for our audience. I actually met Tasi about 2 years ago because we were in a pandemic game show together, right? It didn't click for me right away when I saw him on stage, but it did eventually. And you know, the way I got to know Tasi is you got a sense of humor. You're fun, you're chill, and that was very apparent with the character that you're playing. You bounced between two characters. You were like Quang's best friend. You know, you had ride or die, but you also played Tom's brother, right? The person who you know, the story of, you know, I guess I don't want to get into it too much, but one of the more heart-wrenching parts of the story. So let me ask you this, like, two questions for you, if I can get to it. How do you bounce between characters in that way? Like, how do you transition when you have to switch?
I think just thank you for the question. That's a really good question, and I think more people need to know, like, actors are oftentimes asked to play multiple roles. You know, it's just by to take the glamour out of it. It's really like an economy of using your talents on stage. But removing all the glamour, all that stuff, the the show itself allows opportunities for the people who are participating in it, the actors, to be able to do that. So that's one of the first thing. It's like someone has designed it in a way that gives you time to change or gives you time to accomplish some of these tasks. And the next part is really just uh, figuring out for yourself what tools you've picked up along the way to as an actor to allow you to do that in a way that's safe, convincing, and more importantly, how it helps tell the story, right? Then that gets calibrated by the director. So for this show in particular, because it's going to vary on different shows, for this show in particular, I think it starts with the costume. I just change a shirt, right? And so it sounds really silly, but part of it is you also have to trust the audience that they're with you on the journey, and that visually, if you could see that, then automatically there's a buy into the imagined reality of the play and the story. So that helps me not have to make any unnecessary choices about how I'm changing this character up. And you know, I think Amanda and Jomar can attest to, like, sometimes it's as easy as changing what your posture is. So knowing you know where your feet are for any given moment. All of those little things help me make the choice of, like, this is who Quay is versus who Nyan is. The posture, like, who are these people in their lives? One's the younger brother who's learning the world. The other person is you know, in the military. So obviously they're gonna live two different structures of lives. And you know, coming into it that way, for me, helps. And then, of course, what Qui has written already gives the audience an opportunity to be like, oh, these are two different people. So zeroing in on what their speech is, how they speak, speed, tempo, rhythm, it's all kind of part of it. So yeah, it's a blast. I like being able to do that. I think when I first started, I was like, I want to play an actor who has 30 different roles. I'm in my 30s now. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you did was, I mean, like you brought the humor, right? But then you were able to transition into kind of those more somber moments as well, right? And when I remember the scenes towards the end where things got more serious, you did that transition, like well, and it was definitely part of the great storytelling. Let me, we did get an audience question. Let me throw that out to you all. So the question that we got was, are there any other characters or stories that you'd like to portray next or see on stage? Right, Tasi, I got you on screen now. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, I just want to see Filipinos being Filipinos. To be honest, I want to play a Filipino. Just something that I think was Amanda was saying, like, oh, play yourself. I want to play myself to the fullest, just to experience that. It's going to be different for everyone. I'd like to do that, and I'd like to work more with new works that are coming out. Like, so Jomar was saying, like helping playwrights who are finding their voice and being a part of that process. So it's not so much like thinking of the catalog of great theater pieces. I haven't really thought of it in that way, but more like who's working and who wants to have their voice heard, because I also want to have my voice heard, but I want to do it as a team.
Nice. No, that's great. I mean, I would go watch that. Right, Jomar, how about you? Let's see from you. What do you want to? Who do you want to play next, or who do you want to see on stage next?
I a little bit sort of second what Tasi says about lifting up new voices, that emerging playwrights, and helping them to collaborating with them to bring their voice forward in the American theater. But if I had to answer the question fully, there's a play. Before this, I was doing a piece called "Hold These Truths" about Gordon Hirabayashi and his fight defying the government against the Japanese internment camps. And Jeannie Sakata wrote that piece, and she's shown me and she's workshopped another piece, and it involves Fred Korematsu, who is also defying the government in his own way in a different part of the country. And I read a little bit of that piece, and I'm sort of hoping that goes forward in the next coming years. So
that's great. So I'd love that. Those are two very empowering stories about the Asian American experience in America. So that'd be amazing. Love to see you play one of those roles. Amanda, let's wrap up one with you here. Tell us, who would you like to play next on stage, or who would you like to see next on stage?
Oh gosh, that's hard, because everything that they said, that's great. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. But then my mind went straight to musical theater, where like, I know I'm not blonde anymore, but I would still love to play Elle Woods in Legally Blonde. And let me tell you guys, in the dressing room, I keep hearing on the other side in the boys' dressing room, they're always singing, "Oh my God, you guys," and I'm like.
She's a liar. That's not true at all.
I don't know.
The jury is out.
We're gonna have to do an investigation on whether that's true or not.
Okay.
Oh my God,
you guys.
Okay. That would be hilarious. I just want to say that I went to law school, and most people don't know this, but we actually do watch a little bit of Legally Blonde in law school, just to learn a little bit. So that would be a throwback for me, right? So I wish we had more time. I would love to just kind of get much more into talking to each of you about your own stories, your own history, but we have to wrap this up. Let me just share with everyone watching now that Vietgone is showing at City Lights Theater in downtown San Jose until April 24th. So it's on Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday nights. Please go and support these amazing individuals. Oh, excuse me, and Thursday. Thank you. please go out and support these amazing individuals who are performing. We're bringing back live theater, which is something I know I missed during the pandemic. And it was a blast. It's a great show. It's fun. It is captivating. And you've got an amazing, talented group of folks who make this story come alive. City Lights Theater showing until April 24th. And the fact that it's showing now as we are preparing for Black April, it's just another great way to capture the stories of Asian Americans, of Vietnamese Americans in America. And with a cast that's diverse and still able to capture that story, super proud of you all. You did a great job. Please check the comments for the link to purchase tickets. And if you, I'm going to read it out now for folks who are listening only to audio. CLTC.org is where you can buy tickets for Vietgone. Thank you very much, you all. Have a great night. And again, go watch Vietgone. Great show.